We'll start in like 2 minutes. All right, we will get started. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen and do a quick recap of where we are. So class has started. So this class is, well, the first half of class is pretty much about to end soon. So just to pull out the calendar, the class started February 5th. And it was supposed to go 8 weeks until, we get to the React section. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is technically this week, but since we aren't where I would expect us to be, we're gonna go one more week. So today we're gonna go over the tic-tac-toe game. Let me go to the actual course. So we're gonna go over, let's see, more CSS, time app, password generator, Breaking Bad, tic-tac-toe. Okay, we're gonna go over the tic-tac-toe app, and we're not gonna go over it like we did in the actual course. In the course, the solution is much more simplified than how we're gonna solve it today, or we're gonna attempt to solve it today anyway. Today we're gonna freestyle. We're gonna literally do it different than we did it in the actual course. And again, the way we did it in the course is actually better. But what I want to like kind of showcase is that there's more than one way to do the same thing. So that's what we'll do today. It'll take the whole class. It'll likely take the whole class just for us to kind of like freestyle it through. And this is literally just you seeing me solve a just kind of like solve a puzzle, just kind of like freestyling it, so to speak, so you can get a real experience. And then after tic-tac-toe, and I'll repeat this at the end of the class, I basically want everyone to go over all of the other videos underneath it. So whack-a-mole, game settings, inspirational quote. Actually, those three things will be the and this joke app. Those four things would be like the next few questions. I mean, the next few sections before Sunday. And on Sunday, which is the 2nd, I'm gonna be like evaluating. Like Sunday's class is not gonna be recorded. We're just gonna I'm just gonna evaluate to see if we're ready to like jump to the next 8 weeks of this, which is just React by itself. So yeah, so basically complete all the way up until the joke app. We're not going to do the Pokedex or credit store or this battle game, but I do recommend doing both the Pokedex and the credit store at home if you haven't already gotten there. And yeah, the battle game is more so optional. I mean, it's just something fun to kind of like learn about because you're dealing with like sprites and animations and stuff like that, but it's not absolutely required. I think if anything, the most important app in this course is Credit Store. That's probably the hands down the most important app in here because it has some of everything, pretty much. Excuse me. So let's see. Let's go over tic-tac-toe. So and please stop me if there's any questions at all. So with the tic-tac-toe game, I'm just gonna go over a quick demo just so we can see like how this works. We press start. It gives us some directions. First to score 3 in a row win. Click to play. Click, and I'm gonna press a box here. We basically have these random boxes, and this is the standard tic-tac-toe. If I try to score, the computer blocks me. If I try to score, the computer blocks me, so on and so forth. And then once the game ends, it goes back to the home screen and it shows your wins and your losses. So right now we have 3 wins and 7 losses because the computer is pretty good. So I'm going to pull up the starter code and I'm going to start to like think my way through how to create this from scratch without using the method that we're using in the actual online course. So I have the starter code here. I'm gonna open this up inside of VS Code. VS Code is here. Cool. Let me actually open this up as well. So this is the starter code here. Go to show projects. If I press this start button, nothing happens. And where's my VS Code? It's opening. Okay. Yeah, VS Code. I forgot I changed the theme. Let me change this theme back. Yeah. Actually, I'll keep the light theme for now. I think it's a nice, change of pace. Let's keep the light theme. So this is the starter code. Let me so I basically just showed you that this does not work. So what we always want to do first is open up the dev tools. That's always the first step. Let me get out of mobile view version. All right, so we're in the dev tools. Let me do this a little bit. I'm gonna clear this. And when I press this button, we can see that we get this uncaught reference error, and it's saying that show directions is not defined. So this start button, I'm going to click. I'm basically going to figure out where that's coming from. I'm going to click this arrow right here so that we can bring up the HTML for the starter button. Then I'm going to click the starter button to bring us directly there. And we can see that in the HTML, this div has an on click of whack-a-mole start menu. I mean, whack-a-mole menu start. So this is supposed to start the game from the actual menu. So it's telling us that that is not defined. Whack-a-mole menu start is not defined. That just means that we just got to create it. And as always, the code for each app is inside of the JavaScript file. And I'm gonna go to the tic-tac-toe. tic-tac-toe. So, and define that function. I'm gonna create an arrow function really quick. So console log, hey, or something, just to get something on the screen. Let's do a refresh. Open that up, and if I press this button, now it says some other errors. Hold on, let me try to figure out what's going on. Okay, this is that same error we kept getting last time. OOP helper.js, the file was not defined. I really have to create that and fix that. So let me actually.
So please, I think I like the dark mode thing. Can you change it to dark?
Yeah, I can change it back to dark. Let me see, preferences. Oh, not extensions. Code, preferences, settings. Dark. Default. Let me see. I think I'm in like. Let me see. Mode.
It's down there by your left side. That settings under profile picture.
Where is it? Hold on. The text editor. Hold on. Where'd you say you saw that?
Yes, on the panel, left panel, down. That's setting icon, yeah.
And yeah, settings. Yeah, this is
that's themes. It has themes there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I had no clue this was here. Color theme. There we go. Perfect. Let me see. Dark default. Okay. Yeah, I had no clue that was there. Wow, that's convenient. All right, cool. We'll keep the dark theme. So, all right. So I just created that file. Let me just refresh so we can get rid of that error. Okay. Initial count. Let's see, uncaught syntax error identifier initial count at whack-a-mole 3.4. Did I open up that file? Whack-a-mole. Oh, that is interesting that we had the error right there. I may have to go back and check that. We have the error here too. Okay, no. This is fine. This is fine. That's part of that. Never mind. Yeah, the whack-a-mole. Once we get to whack-a-mole, it has a bunch of errors. So it's like a and actually I'm wondering if we should do that. If we finish tic-tac-toe, we'll go to whack-a-mole. Whack-a-mole is a pretty good one because we have a lot of errors there, and basically the goal is to debug until there's no errors in the console. So we're gonna ignore this error right now because this is for the next project. So and to be honest, let me just comment out. Let me just comment it out honestly, so that we won't see that. Just comment this. Okay, refresh and okay, cool. So, all right, so let's do show projects. Let's go down to start. Okay, show directions is not defined. Let's see. I thought we just handled that. Whack-a-mole, hold on. Show directions is not defined. Oh, wait. This is the complete. Yeah, this is the starter. It says, let's click this. Let's see where that is. Show direction. Oh, wait, am I in the wrong? Oh, this is whack-a-mole. What am I doing? I am getting confused. We're trying to do tic-tac-toe, not whack-a-mole. I don't know why I did that. This is what we wanted to do. The start button is here, and we see show directions here. I don't know why I'm still thinking about whack-a-mole for some reason. We're trying to do tic-tac-toe. Let me just refresh this. Yeah, so now if I press this, we're good. So now we see hey pop up here. Okay, so we're able to click the tic-tac-toe. What is it? Tic-tac. This is the tic-tac-toe app here. And let's see. Let's just break this down. Where's the start button? Start button is here, and it says show direction. So we're able to click that now. So whenever we click this, what we want to do is show the directions, basically. And the directions, let's see, are here inside of this div right here. So, and this is game directions. And just like we did last week, when we were given it, a class of, I think it was notice. Actually, I'm not sure we did it last week, but let me go to the CSS file. Actually, let me go to the complete version, see how we did it in the complete version, just mimic it there. So here's the start button. Right now we are on, I'm gonna click this. Right now we are on tic-tac-toe home. That's tic-tac-toe home. So if I click this button, let's see what happens. Nothing happens there. Let's see. Just trying to dissect what we did here. I'm gonna let the computer win just to. All right, so something just updated. So we have the start button here. What we want to ultimately do is get rid of this. Let me see. So if I hover over game, this is game directions right here. We have directions. Let's see, directions, SM, flex. Let's see, we have this. Let's see if I click this one more time. Let's see if I see anything happen. Because normally when something happens over here, there's like a flash in the console. Okay, there was a flash. Okay, we gave this a attribute of no display whenever we click that. And okay. All right, so that no display attribute was given to tic-tac-toe board, or tic-tac-toe board has it and tic-tac-toe home has it. I think it was given to tic-tac-toe home. So let me just refresh really quick, just to make sure I saw that correctly. I'll go here. So this is tic-tac-toe home. Right now, it doesn't have any no display attribute, but we can see that the directions has the no display attribute. So we can just conclude that we have to, and the board has the no display attribute, which gives it a CSS property of display none. And we can see that here. Anything with no display gets a display none CSS rule. So we basically have to just toggle that, that attribute. I'm going to go inside of the util folder. Actually, let me first get a few of these IDs. I know I have to toggle it for tic-tac-toe home. So I'm gonna go to that file, go to this just here, and I'm gonna just paste it there and just comment it out for now. I know I have to toggle it eventually to tic-tac-toe board. That's just a given. And we'll have to toggle it also on game directions. So the first time we press the button, we want to make sure game directions and tic-tac-toe home gets toggled. And then when we press the game direction screen, we have to make sure that the board and the directions get toggled, because the directions will be shown at that point. So let me go to the util.js file to see if we have any ways to toggle attributes. And we have here a toggle attribute function. We pass in the element, we pass in the element that we want to toggle, and we pass in the value that we want to give it. So the first time we want to toggle, actually, I'm gonna just comment this out for now. First thing we got to do is grab the two things that we want to toggle. And the two things are this tic-tac-toe home screen, the screen that we're currently on. I'm going to grab that element. And the way we do that is to grab it by ID. And remember, inside of the util file, we have a get by ID function where we pass an ID and it passes us back the element after it grabs it by ID. So I'm going to get by ID, and we're going to get tic-tac-toe home. And while we're here, I might as well put this into a constant. And I'll just name this T_home for tic-tac-toe home. So I'm going to get this by ID there. And then we're going to grab the directions by ID because we want to get that as well. We can put that into a constant. So this can just be T directions. Remember that constants are all capital. T directions. Just do a little shortcut. Okay. All right, so we got the home, we got the directions. Now we have to toggle it. And the thing that we want to toggle is the no display attribute. I'm going to toggle this. So I'm going to put that into a variable as well. I feel like we should have that somewhere. Let's see, do we have any constants? We don't here. So I'm just gonna put this here, T underscore no display. And the reason I'm putting a T in front of all of these is so that like none of these variable names will like conflict with anything outside of this file. We have so many different JavaScript files here. We don't want any of the variables used to conflict with each other. So it's a very convenient practice to just initiate with like the file that you're currently in. There's different ways to do this, but this how I'm going to do it for now. So we'll take this and we'll actually start the toggle. Look like we take an element, we take an attribute, and we take a value. The element is going to be tic-tac-toe home. Then the attribute is going to be T underscore no display. The value, we're not going to give it any value. We can see that here, it's not set equal to anything, so it doesn't have any value. So we just pass an empty string, and we do the same thing for game directions. We're gonna toggle both of those. So let's see if this works. Let's save this. I'm gonna go here and refresh. Click this, that works. And obviously, I don't know why this, I'm gonna press this again. And that is, wait, this is the complete version. I'm about to say, why did that work? This is the incomplete. Let me move this over here. This is the starting. I'll click this, that works. Okay, cool. If I click it again, we can see that nothing happens because we have that same error where we're trying to on click. We have a function, but this function is not defined. So I'm going to define that function in here. I'm going to make sure it works. I just console log in something. So I'm console log hey. Let's do a refresh, see if this works. Let's go to console. If I click this, it says, hey, so that works, that's perfect. So when we do click this, we have to toggle this screen, and the current screen that we're on, again, is game directions. So we have to do the same thing here with game directions. So we're toggling game directions, and then let me separate these. And we also have to toggle the game board, tic-tac-toe board, this one here. So we have to create a new variable to get the element. So we're gonna do a get by ID again. Let me just name this T underscore board. Okay. So we're gonna get this by ID. All right, so we got the directions and we got the board. Now we'll toggle the board as well so that we can show the board on the screen. Okay, so let's refresh. Show projects. Click start, that works. Click this and the board shows. So all of that works. Now, so that was the easy part, technically. Now for the hard part, like this is a real thought part of this. Like, so if I click one of these boxes right now, I can see that I have select square being fired. No matter which no matter which box I click, we have select square being fired, and that's because, again, we go to HTML, we have an on click that did not we didn't define this function anywhere. All right, so let me just create that function over here. Also, something to notice is that when we do fire the function, we pass in a number. So this number we pass in is 1, this one's 2, that's 3. We can sort of see where this is going. This number is 4. We can see a highlighter on the other side, 5. And then we have 6 here, we have 7 here, 8, and then 9. So we're basically passing in the IDs of those elements. We can see that they match with the IDs. That's convenient because we want to be able to tell which box we're clicking on. And this is a convenient way to do it. Select square, and the square that I'm selecting is the number 6. So since we're passing the ID, I'm going to put ID here, and I'm just going to console log the ID. After we get this done, we'll start actually thinking about how this works, like how that game actually works, and try to like plan out a way to finish it. So I click here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 and 9. I skipped one. So we can click these boxes and we can tell which box we're clicking by the number that we clicked. Okay. So with tic-tac-toe, when we play tic-tac-toe here, let me just go to the finished copy real quick. The very first box that gets clicked is an X. Okay. So we have to put an X here. Now, when we click a box in tic-tac-toe, the rules are, if there is no letter in that, we can only mark an X in the box that has no letter currently in it. That's one rule. So let me actually write that down. This is me thinking this through. So she can only place letter in a box that does not already have a letter. Okay, that's one rule. That's like the very first rule. The second rule is, if you score 3 letters in a row, you win. Okay. If you score, so we, you want to say something?
I'm trying to get that person who can only place a letter in a box that does not already have the letter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that line. I don't get that line.
For example, so right now, this is a complete copy, right?
All right.
We have an X and we have an O. If it's my turn and I click this O, nothing happens because I can't put a letter inside of a box that already has a letter. Same with this. This already has an X in it. So if I click this, I can't put a letter there. But if I click an empty box, like down here, I can put a letter. And if I click this empty box, I can put a letter. So so the first rule is and it's weird because when we're like coding these games, we have to break it down to like very minute directions. Like we as humans can figure these things out a lot easier just our brain works very fast, but when we talk to a computer, we have to really break this down. So that's why the first direction was, when we click a box, the first thing we have to do when we click a box is make sure that there's no other letter in there. There's no X and there's no O. After we determine that there's no X or O inside of the box, we can put the X there because we are X. Like the computer is the O. So we can put an X there if there is no letter there. After we put a letter inside of a box, we have to then check to see if we won. We have to make sure we didn't win. And the only way to win is to put 3 letters in a row. So we had 3 X's, 1, 2, 3. If all 3 of these was filled, and if these 2 is filled and I press this last one, that means that I won. After that, we have to think, okay, if we did win, we go back to the home screen and we increase our score by 1. But if we did not win, we let the computer go. And then the computer is going to have a whole new set of directions. What the computer is going to do is going to first look to see if you're about to score, because it does not want to lose. If it see that you're about to score, it's going to block your box. It's going to block you by putting a letter in the box that you would have scored in. But that's the first thing it's going to check. Actually, the first thing it's going to check to see is to see if it can score first, if it can win. Let's say it already had 2 in a row. If it can win, let's just put a letter right there, and then the computer wins. But if the computer can't win automatically, it's going to check to see if you are about to win. And if you're about to win, it's going to block your box. And if you're not about to win, the computer is going to then pick any random box to put a letter O inside of. And that's how the game pretty much goes. But we're going to see all of this in code. So that first step was to check to see if there was any letters in the box, right? So if I go to the finished copy, this is the finished copy. And I'm going to actually go to the HTML to see how this looks. Anything with a class of X has an X inside of it. Anything with a class of O has an O inside of it. Why is that? Open up the CSS. We have tic-tac-toe with the class of O. We get a background image of O. See it there. Okay. So tic-tac-toe with a class of X, get a background image of this X. You see that there. So what we can conclude is there is an X or an O inside of the box that we click only if the class contains an X or an O. So literally the letter O or the letter X, we see those 2 there, okay? Something else that we have is we have like I said earlier, we have the ability to see which box we actually clicked on because we're passing in the ID of each box. So we have the ID right here. So if I go to the starter, copy, I'm gonna click this box here, this number 3 box. We can see that that's incrementing. So the first thing we have to do to figure out if the number 3 box has a class of X or O, which means that it has a letter inside of it, we have to first get the HTML element. So I'm gonna say square. I'm just naming square. And we'll do a get by ID. And we'll pass in the ID. That's the ID. I mean, this gives us back the square. After we get back the square, we can say class list dot contains, if it contains an X, or if square dot class list dot contains, if it contains an O, that means that it has a letter. Oh, actually, I'm gonna say square is taken. The square is already taken if it has a class of X or if it has a class of O. Okay. please stop me if anything doesn't make sense. I can like further explain it.
All right.
Okay, so if the class, if square, let's see, if square is not taken, it's not. If it's not taken, we will place an X in that box. But if the square is taken, else if square is taken, actually let me take out this not. Let me make this a little bit more, make this better. So if square is taken, we'll say, we'll just constant log square is taken. Square is taken. So if square is taken, constant log square is taken, else place an X in that box. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So one thing I want to point out is this says select square. Okay. Trying to figure out if a square is taken. Yeah, trying to actually let me not jump ahead. I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm going to continue this really quick. So let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. We're grabbing a square. We're figuring out if it's taken by checking to see if it has an X or an O inside of the class. If it is taken, we'll say square is taken. If it's not taken, we'll constant log place an X in that box. Okay, let's refresh. Let's see if this works. If I click a box here, it's set. Hold on, did I save this? No, I didn't. Save, refresh. Let's try this again. Let's scroll down here. Okay, it says place an X in a box because it's not taken. Any box I click, it says place an X in a box. But now I'm going to manipulate the CSS. I'm going to change box 5. I'm going to put an X as a class really quick. So now we see an X right there. And I'm going to manipulate this box. I'm going to put an O inside of this box. So this class, I'm going to give it a class of O right there. So we got an O there. So now if I click on the boxes that's taken, if I click this, it says square is taken. If I click this, it says square is taken. So now we successfully, finished that first thing where we had to check to see if there's a letter inside of a box. Okay. So we got that logic set up. So if, let me see, if box is taken, we'll just console log this actually. And actually what we'll do is we'll do something a little bit more standard. Let me change this up a little bit. Let me change this. I'll say return. If box is taken, we'll return. And remember, when we return from a function, we exit the function. We don't even go past this line. But if this is false, we're not going to return. Okay. And again, just to quickly, this right here and this, and this is the same thing. If you only have one thing inside of an if statement, you can get rid of the curly brackets. So I'm gonna check to see if this works. We shouldn't see anything logged to the console if the box is taken. If the box is not taken, we're gonna see this logged to the console because we're not gonna go to the return. So let me just refresh here. This is just me simplifying the code a little bit, down a little bit. Click that. Okay, it says box is taken on all of these. Okay, let's change the HTML of 2 of these. Let's say give this a class of X and give the other one a class of O. Let's see if anything happens. I go to the console. I'm gonna get rid of that. If I press these boxes, nothing happens. Okay? Nothing happens with the boxes that have something inside of it. But if I click the other ones, obviously, we get something logged to the console. So that works. We don't want to do anything if the box is already taken. So this works. So now let's actually do this step. We're going to place an X inside of a box. Let me see. What I'm going to do is separate this. I'm gonna create a function. I'm gonna say place letter in box. And we want to pass this an ID. Okay. So place letter in box is very general. The reason I made it general, I could have said place X in the box, but I made it general because I want to be able to place an X or an O inside of a box. I want to use the exact same function. And to determine which one I place inside of the box, I have to figure out whose turn it is. So if it's my turn, we place an X inside of the box. If it's the computer turn, we place an O inside of the box, okay? So we need a variable to keep track of that. And since that variable is going to change over time, we have to create it with let. So we'll say is computer turn. I'm going to default it to false. Let me make sure this is not being used anywhere else. It's not. Okay. All right. So is computer turn. We're going to go first. So the computer turn it's not going to be the computer turn right away. So that's what we're going to actually use that inside of this function here. So if is computer turn, we'll say place in O. Place in O. Else we're going to place X. Place in X because it's our turn. If we place X, let's see if this works after I put this here. Notice I'm putting this into a whole new function. I want each function to do one thing. This just places a box, and we're going to pass it the ID. Actually, because we need the ID to place the letter. So I'm gonna refresh. Open this up here. We'll click this. It says place an X because it knows that it's our turn. Okay. And obviously, if this was false, I mean, if that was true, it would place an O. If it is the computer turn, it would place an O because it is. So now let's actually put an X inside of the box. We have the ID right here, right? So we'll get the element. So we'll say the element is get by ID here, and we're going to pass it the ID. So we get it by ID, and then we're going to adjust the class by using the class list.add method, and we're going to add an X inside of there. And on the other end, we're going to add an O. And something that I want to point out here is that there's room to clean up this code. These two lines are the exact same thing. So we can literally move this outside here and reference the same element. So since this was going to be created either way, we're just going to put it on one line outside of the curly bracket so that is in scope for both of these. This is an O. We have to place an O right there. So another thing is, let me see. Actually, this is fine. This is fine what we have right now. Let's see if this works. It should work. Did I put my? No, I didn't. Put these. Okay, let's refresh. See if this works. I'll go here. Okay, that works. I'm gonna put as many X's as possible. And obviously in tic-tac-toe, we're not supposed to be able to go multiple times. And we're gonna handle that case in a little bit. But let me first check the case where it is the computer turn to make sure we're actually placing an O inside of there. Let's do a refresh. Refresh. Okay. So if it is the computer turn, we can place O's. Okay. All right. So far, we're able to select a box. When we select a box, we figure out if the square is taken. If the square is taken, we return. We don't do anything. But if the square is not taken, we place a letter inside of the box. Okay. After we place a letter inside of the box, the next thing we have to do is check to see if the player won. Okay. So we'll say has player one. This is going to give us back a Boolean. Okay. We'll say, and actually let me clean this up a little bit also. Let's simplify this. Since we have a condition and we have one thing here and one thing here, we're going to turn this into a ternary because it just simplifies this code. Just turn that. So is computer turn. We will do this. It's not the computer turn. We're going to do this. Let's put that there. Okay. Let's make sure this still works before we move on to this. So just make sure. So just do a refresh. We should print out O's because I don't think I turned that back. Yeah, O's. So this works. And I'm gonna turn this back to false, and I'm gonna check it. We always want to check our work as we go, because the last thing you want to do is have a bug because you changed something. So this works. If it's not the computer term, we put X's there. Okay. So after we place a letter, so you place letter in box, we want to say has. Actually, let me see. Yeah, has player one. Let's check to see if player one. Okay. We'll say, let me see, if it is the computer turn, if it's computer turn, we do console.log check to see if the computer won. If it's not the computer turn, we want to check to see if player won. We'll just call the player the human or whatever, like the human the player. So if it's the computer turn, we want to check to see if the computer won. If it's the player turn, we want to check to see if the player won. Okay, and that works on this Boolean here. Obviously, this is going to be false, and we're going to check to see if the player won. Okay. So after we do this, we want to check to see if a player won. So there's a few conditions to win in tic-tac-toe. Now, basically, you have to put 3 in a row. You have to put 3 in a row here, and we actually made. Let me just zoom in here. We have a few different ways to do that. We have here, that's 1. We have these ones, that's 2. We have these 3 here, that's 3 different things. We have all 3 of these across, that's 6. We have diagonally both ways, so that's 8. There's 8 ways to win in tic-tac-toe. You just have to have the same letter in every box, basically. Now, how do we tell the computer, hey, like, has the computer won or not? Like, has the player won or not? What we can do is we have to first tell the computer some of these rules, the rules that we just like basically talked about. Okay, the rules are, okay, if certain boxes have certain letters in them, that player won. That player basically won. Okay, and just to get a visual, those boxes have different numbers inside of them, and these are the numbers they have inside of them. We may actually be doing it just like we did it in the course. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But let me comment all of these. Okay. We have box 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if we have box 1, 2, and 3, if all of these have the same letter, then the player won. If all of these have the same letter, then the player won. If all of these have the same letter, then the player won. We do the same thing for the ones, you know, like let's go vertically, and the ones diagonally, like these, and 3, 5, and 7. Okay. So in order to tell the computer the rules, we have to put that into some kind of data structure. The data structure that I'm thinking about putting this in is an object. I'm gonna just name this has player 1 I'm just put TTT for tic-tac-toe. All right. Oh, this is gonna be an object. Actually let's name this winner tic-tac-toe winner mapper, because we're basically mapping, we'll basically be mapping like all of the winning combinations. We'll just be like put in here basically. So the first combination of this is actually, let me put this inside of an array, because I feel like that would be a little bit better. First combination is 1, 2, 3. That's the first combination. Next combination is 4, 5, 6. And we're going to just keep putting all the winning combinations. That's what I'll put. Winning combinations. Next combination is 7, 8, 9. And we'll do the same thing for the rest of them. So we have 1, 4, 7. Now we're going vertically. We have 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9. And we have the 2 diagonals. We have 1, we have 5, and we have 9, and we have 3, 5, and 7. Those are all of the winning combinations for tic-tac-toe. And I'm actually going to put these, I'm going to stack these a little bit different so that we can see these a little bit differently. So these are the horizontal combinations. These are the vertical combinations. And these are the diagonal combinations. Okay. All the combinations to win in tic-tac-toe. And the reason I put all of these numbers is because we can actually compare these to the IDs. And we're gonna do a little trick here also, because remember those IDs are strings and these are numbers. So just know that. So okay, has player 1. Check to see if the player won. Okay, so we'll say we'll use this to check to see if the player won. First thing we have to do is we have to figure out which boxes have X's inside of them. We have to check all of the boxes to make sure we know every box have an X inside of them. After we figure out which boxes have an X inside of them, we're gonna compare the IDs to those boxes to the different combinations inside of this array to see if the player won or not. Let's get rid of that. So we'll put that into a function actually. Let me actually move this inside of here just so that we have all this together. I'll create a function that says check. I'll say get all boxes with letter. We'll pass in the letter, and I know this is different than the course. We'll pass in the letter, and then we'll go through each box to see which ones have letters inside of them. All of the different IDs are all strings. So I'm going to put those inside of this array. I'm basically going to loop through this array, and I'm going to check each one of these boxes with the value inside of the array to see if it has the letter that we passed into this function. That's basically what this is. These are the boxes that we have to check, or at least the IDs we have to check anyway. 9. So we'll say TTT square IDs, tic-tac-toe square IDs. I'm just gonna put square IDs actually. Square IDs. I'm gonna loop through, Remember with arrays, we can use a for each loop. Yeah. And this is going to be the ID. And we will say if, actually first we got to get the element by ID first. After we get the element by ID, we can check to see if it has an X inside of it. And if it does have an X inside of it, we are going to push that to an array. And we'll say this is all, let me see, all boxes containing letter. That's what I want. Let us, all boxes containing letter. Let me say all boxes with letter, just to keep this as short as possible. All boxes with letter. It's going to be an empty array. And we're eventually going to return back all boxes with letter. Just so that, you know, get all boxes with letter. We have this all boxes with letter array, and then we're going to loop over every box inside of the HTML. And if it has an X inside of it, or if it has this letter inside of it, we will pass that. We will pass the ID actually to this array. So let me say element. Actually, I'll say square just to keep this as descriptive as possible. The square is going to be the square with the ID that we're currently on. We'll say if square dot class list dot contains letter, the letter that we passed in here. If it contains that letter, we're going to push that inside of here. So we're going to do we're going to say all boxes with letter dot push. We're going to push the ID so that we have the IDs inside of there. Okay. This is very general. You can check any letter with this, X or O. Save this. And put that here. And I'll put an X inside of that. And with the computer, obviously, we will put an O because that is the computer letter. Okay. And since I see some room for improvement here, we have the same function here. What I'll actually do is I'll say letter. I'll say letter. If it's the computer turn, the letter is going to be O. If it's the player turn, the letter is going to be X. And then we'll call this one time and pass in the letter. You can see how dynamic this is, how all this stuff kind of like ties together. This is how we like code as clean as possible. So let me actually put a debugger here because we were a lot of code without testing any of it. So 1101, I'm gonna put a debugger. We'll go through this and then we'll take a break after we go through code and make sure it actually works. So let me do a refresh here. I'm gonna mess with the HTML a little bit. I'm gonna put a few X's inside of some of these boxes before I click to execute the function. I'll put it there. I'm gonna put an X here, and I'm gonna put an X. Put an X right here. Cool. So when we press one of these boxes, we're gonna go through that whole process. And again, we're gonna click a box. It's gonna fire select square. If it does not have a square inside of it, it's gonna say place in box. It's going to place it inside of the box. It's going to say, oh, okay, if it's a computer term, we're going to place an O. If it's not the computer term, we're going to place an X. After we place a letter, we're going to say has player one or has, let's just say has one because we're saying player is like the human, has one. We're going to check to see if okay, has game ended. How about that? Has game ended, basically. Has game ended. It's going to fire this. Then we're going to stop at the debugger. Then we're going to get the letter that we're currently checking for. And if it's the computer term, we're checking for an O. If it's not the computer term, we're checking for an X. And then we're going to take that letter and we're going to pass it into get all boxes with letter. And that's going to go into here. It's going to pass the letter. It's going to loop over all of the IDs. And if the square at that ID contains the letter, we'll push that ID inside of this all boxes with letter, and then we'll return all boxes with letter. And I'll actually put that into a function. We'll say this is all boxes with letter. And I'll put a debugger here as well. This should contain an array of everything that has a letter. So if we look at this, I put all of these here already. We should have the number 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have 5, and we should have 7. I'm gonna click this number 2 box, and that's going to be included in this as well. So 1, 2, 5, and 7. So I'm gonna click 2. After I click 2, we stop at the debugger here. So you go over that. The letter is X. We're gonna go inside of there. I'm just press the step button. So now we have all of the IDs here. Okay, cool. The array of IDs, and we have the array of the letters with X inside of it. I'm gonna put a debugger here. I'm gonna hit play. So we can stop there. Okay, this is the number 1. We're gonna get by ID. Okay, cool. We got that element. Okay, does that have an X? Does that contain the letter X, the class list? If it does, and it does, we're gonna push that into this array. I'm going to keep doing that over and over. I'm going to put this here. We're going to keep doing that over and over until we get an array of all of the IDs, which is here. Okay. So I'm gonna go here. We return that, and we get. Oh wait, I didn't save what I had, but we're going to get this back into a variable. It's going to get back. We're going to get it back here into this variable right here. But either way, this works. This all works. I'm gonna just save this. Let's see. Yeah, all of this works. We return back what we needed. So after we get back, oh, actually, let's go on break really quick. Let's go on break. So it is make sure it's 11:05. It's 11:06 now. We'll take a 15-minute break. We'll come back at 11:21 and we'll attempt to finish this. I'm hoping we can finish it actually. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go on break as well, and I'll come back a little bit early to answer any questions. I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
We will start back in 1 minute. Share my screen. Okay, we will get started. All right, so far, I'm gonna just, click a box here. If I click that, the only box that's filled is box 6. And that's this one right here. And it's not filled yet because the JavaScript moves faster than the HTML. But if I hit play, we can see that there's a box right there. Okay, cool. So it tells us all the boxes that have the letters inside of it. The next thing we have to do after we get the boxes with, let's call it the boxes with all of the letters inside of it, we want to check if we want to check if we see any combination, any winning combinations, basically. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to turn all of these into strings. The reason I'm going to turn these into strings is because I want to compare all of these numbers to the IDs, and I know that all of the IDs are strings. So I'm just gonna quickly go through this. I was just gonna compare a number to a string, but it's gonna be a lot easier to just compare strings to strings.
But I think can we convert string to int, like parse int?
We can
using the parse int function.
Yeah, we can. We could do that. We could do that. I'm gonna just keep it just like with strings. We could do either way, and that'll work. The reason I'm gonna make it to strings is because I want to have like one less step of things to do, just to help it as fast as possible, even though it's insignificant, the amount of time between the two. So in order to check to see if we have all of these combinations, we basically have to check to see if all of the boxes with like the current letter inside of it, if any, so basically we're going to get back an array, right? We're going to have like let's say we got 1, 2, 3, and like 4. Let's say we literally clicked on all of these boxes. And actually, let's be more realistic. The final box we clicked on was 3, and since we have a 1, 2, and a 3, we have 1, 2, and 3. We have to check to see if all of these are if all of these are inside of this array, then we can conclude that whoever clicked on this box won. That was the person that won. And again, if we had a different combination of things, let's say we have this combination 1, 2, 5, and 8. What we want to do is we want to check to see if all of these are inside of this array. So we're going to do that is we're going to loop over the different combinations. Since that is an array, we're going to use the for each. And I'll just name each of these combinations. I'm just doing a console log just so that we can see like what's inside of there. Each of these obviously are these arrays, but I'm gonna just console log it for now, just to make sure it still works. Go to the console, click here. Okay, so let me take that out. So we have all of those different combinations there. Okay, so what we can do is we'll actually split this up into 3 different things. We'll say we'll just say A, B, and C. A is going to be the combination at the 0 index. So in this case, A would be 1. In this case, B would be 2. In this case, B would be 3. So that's basically what we're doing. We have, let me, A, B, and C. So we have 0, 1, and 2. That's basically what we're getting. And we can actually, what's it called it? Make this a little bit more readable. Let me debug this. There's two ways to do the exact same thing here. We can either D, E, F. We can either do it like this, or we can do array destructuring. And I think the array destructuring is a little bit better. I'm gonna show that these two things are the exact same thing. This is pulling them out individually, and this is pulling them out from the index. So if I do a refresh really quick, show projects, click here, we can see that A, here we can see it here, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 1, E is 2, F is 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the array destructuring way because it takes up less lines. So we have A, B, and C. And we're grabbing that out of combination. And to be honest, we can take this a step further and put this here instead, just to pull them out from the actual what's it called? The actual variable that's being passed back. So we can do it like this, or we can do it like this. And I'm gonna just show you that this is the same. Let me just comment this out and put a debugger here, just so that we can see that these three things are coming out of the combination. See, refresh. Like this. Okay, cool. So A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3. So we pull all three of those things out just from using the parameters. This is a shortcut. And it's the same as destructuring, except for you're doing it inside of the actual parameters. So if, now we're gonna do our if statements. So if this, all boxes with letter, if this includes A, and it includes B, and it includes C, let's actually put this into a variable. Let's say player has 1. And a player has 1 only if the box contains A, B, and C. So if all boxes with letter contains all three of these things, A, B, and C, then the player has 1. So if player has 1, we'll just do a console log. Player has 1. Else, we'll say it's the next player's turn. Current player has 1. Okay, it's the next player's turn. All right, cool. All right. That's how we're going to do it. And put a debugger here. Okay. Just do a refresh. First, I'm gonna test to see if, actually, let me take this debugger out. Let me just refresh it here, and I'm gonna manually place it here. Put it here and here. And first, I'm gonna test a case where nobody won. So I'm gonna click here. And obviously, you know, it's the next player's. Oh, actually, I shouldn't do this. Let me take this part out because it's gonna. So basically, the reason I'm taking this out is because we're gonna loop through this, and literally every time we press play, we're gonna go back to this else statement here. This else statement is meant to it's basically meant to go to the next player's turn. That's where the logic for this one is going to go, and we don't want to run that logic 8 times. So I'm gonna remove this. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to say the player has 1 if the player has 1. Okay. Has player 1. And to be honest, what I really want to do is I'm going to define that out here. I'm going to give it a default as false, and then we're going to change it Let me see, I'm gonna change it here. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna change it out here, and we'll say if player has one. Hold on. Let me go back a little bit. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I'll keep it as a constant for now. From here, I'm gonna just keep it just like this, just so that we won't get too ahead of ourselves. Let me just refresh. Okay. So we should only go inside of here if the player has one. Okay. Nothing happens if the player did not win. So I'm gonna go to the console. I'm gonna click here. Okay. I'm gonna click here. Now I'm gonna click here, and we stop at the debugger because it's true that the player won, because we see that this, so all boxes with letter contains all three of those things, 3, 6, and 9. And we got 3, 6, and 9 from these parameters here. So that this means that the player won. So we have that logic down. So that's fine. Okay, cool. So if the player won, what we want to do immediately after this is to go back to the home screen. So in order to go back to, so we want to go back to the home screen, and we also want to increment the win count. But we're gonna increment the win and the loss count later on. We're not gonna do that right now. But what I do want to do is I want to go back to the home screen. In order to go back to the home screen, remember we inside of the HTML, we have to toggle the game board. We have to toggle this, put that no display, and we have to actually toggle this one as well, the tic-tac-toe home. We have to toggle the no display here as well. So this is going to get removed from here. So if I remove that, and it's going to get added to this one. Let's edit as HTML. It's going to be something like this. And we're going to go back to the home screen like that. Okay. So we'll do it. We'll run that same logic we ran last time. Where is it? Game board. I'm going to toggle this. We're going to do some of this stuff. Let me just copy all of this, and I'm going to delete whatever I don't need. So if the player has one, we're going to do a few things. Hold on. Okay. All right. So let's this is going to go. What we want to do is we want to use, I'm going to toggle the game board. So where's the game board? The tic-tac-toe board is here. So we want to run this. And so we can get the element, and then we want to toggle it. That is here. We're going to toggle the no display. And also we want to do the same thing for tic-tac-toe home. So I can get rid of all of this stuff. So we're going to grab the element for the home, and then we're going to toggle the attribute no display on that so that we can show the home. Let's do this. Okay, cool. So toggle the board, and then toggle the home so that we can go back to the home page. Let's see if this works. And also what we're going to also do is to avoid, actually this is fine. We can stop here. Let's see if this works. Click this, and when I click the last one, we go back to the home screen. Let me try a different combination. I'm gonna try like 3 more different combinations. Okay, that works. And oh wait, we have to clear the board afterwards. Let me just refresh. But you can see that there's like little things that we don't think to do, like that we do automatically as humans, that we don't think to tell the computer to do. We have to actually clear that board whenever we're done. So, okay, we went back to the home screen. After we go back to the home screen, we want to clear the board. So clear board. Okay, that's what we're going to do here. Clear board. And inside of clear board, we're going to loop over all of the different square IDs. And since I'm going to use this square IDs again, so basically we're going to loop over all of these square IDs, and we're going to remove the class of letter of X, and we're going to remove the class of O if it has it. And since I'm using this again, what I'm going to do is actually make this a global variable. so that we have access to it in multiple places. And so that we won't have to rewrite this variable over again. And I'll actually say TTT square IDs. Let me change the reference to this here. Okay. So we'll say this dot for each. We'll say for each square, we will say for each square, we want to get by ID first. So we'll say element get by ID. We'll pass in. Actually, these are different squares. I mean, these are different IDs. We'll pass an ID there, and then we'll say element dot class list dot remove. We want to remove X if it has an X, and we want to remove O if it has O. Now, mind you, if it does not have an X and we run this, nothing's going to happen. So it doesn't matter if it has an X or O. This is literally just going to remove both of them if it actually does have it. It's not going to give us an error if it doesn't already have it. So we're removing both of those like that. This is how we clear the board. And actually inside of clear board, I want to put all of this stuff. Actually, I want to put all of this. Actually, let me see. Clear board. See, has game ended. If the game ended, I'll say restart game. I'll put this inside of here, actually. Restart game. Restart game. Just to keep this as descriptive as possible. This restarts the game. All of this stuff restarts the game, actually. We go back to the home screen first, and then we clear the board second. So let me put this down here. Okay, has game ended. If player has won, we restart the game. When we restart the game, we go back to home screen. Let me put that into a function, go back to home screen. That's what this is going to do. So I'm going to go back to the home screen like this. And then we're going to clear the board. So restart game means that we go back to the home screen and we clear the board. Let me make sure that this actually works, that this clear board function. Here, and then I'm gonna click this. We went back to the home screen. If I press start, okay, we cleared the board. That works. All right, cool. So all of that works. Let's just check all these different combinations. Okay, that works. These work. Let's check the horizontals. Okay, that's good. This one, all right, that's cool. And this last one, perfect. Okay, cool, perfect. Let's just, all right, cool. So all of that logic works. All right, so let's go back a little bit. What time is it? Okay, 11:40. So if player has won, we want to restart the game, okay? If the player has not won, we're gonna go to the next player's turn. We'll say if, hold on, I'm gonna say go to next player's turn. Okay. Put it inside of a variable, go to next player's turn. And the way we go to the next player's turn is we first toggle this is computer turn because we have to keep a reference to whose turn it is. We'll say is computer turn equals not is computer turn. So we're gonna, if it's true, it's gonna be false. If it's false, it's gonna be true. So this toggles the turn. And if, we'll say if is computer turn, the computer's gonna go. We'll say make computer move if it's the computer turn, and we'll create a function for that. Make computer move. We'll say make the computer move. Okay. Something else I want to like point out here. There's a potential bug right here. So basically, let's say we won, right? If we won and then we go to restart the game, we're still going to hit this function either way. We're still going to force the computer to go if we won. What we want to do is we only want to fire this if we did not win. Okay. And that's why I wanted to make this a global variable before in the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to define this outside here. I'll say false. I'll initiate it as false. That's not const. We want to do let because we want to change it. Has computer one, we're going to default it to false. Okay. Now we'll only run this code right here if this is already false. The reason I say that is because it starts off as false. Then we're going to start looping through. And then we're going to check these different combinations to make sure any of these are inside of this all boxes with letter array. So if this is true, if the computer has run, if we get to a combination, let's say we got to this combination and the computer won, right? That is going to set this variable to true. But that doesn't mean that we're still not going to continue running TTT winner combination. Like we're not going to continue running this loop right here. The next time we run that loop, we're going to check this set of array. And these are not going to be contained within the boxes that we already clicked on. So this is going to change back to false. So if we're basically saying, if we set this to true, so if player has won, if player has already won, we want to, let me see, if player has not won, player has not already won, we want to run this code right here. This is the only time we want to run this code. Because once we set this to true, whenever we get here, we're never going to reset that variable. And then because we're never resetting the variable, we're able to use this variable down here. So we'll say if player has not won. I'm skipping ahead. Let me not get too advanced. I'm gonna put what I'm trying to say, and then I'm gonna put it back to how I had it. So if player has not won, we want to go to next player's turn. That's how this works. So this starts off as false. So that means that we're going to go inside here and run it to see if it works. Let's say we scored in the first combination. That's going to turn this to true. That's what this stuff is going to do. It's going to turn it to true, and then we're going to reset the game. And then every time we loop over it again, this is going to be true, which is going to make this false. And that means that this is not going to run. So we'll just continue running this loop until we break out of it. And if this is true, that the player won, we'll get down to here, and that'll turn that to false because we have the not, if the player has not won. So if this is true, this is not going to run. The only way this runs is if the player did not win. So if we have player has won false here, if we never found a winning combination, then we'll go to the next player's turn. That's what all of this says. We're just checking to see if the player won, and if the player won, we go to the next player's turn. Now, two things I'm going to do. I'm going to let's simplify this code down. This is an if statement, and we only have one thing inside of it, so we don't need the curly brackets. Okay. Same thing here. This is an if statement. We only have one thing inside of it, so we don't need the curly brackets. Okay. Now, this is one way of doing this. Another way of writing this exact same thing is writing this. This is another trick that you can use. This line and this line are the exact same thing. This is basically giving us two conditions. Remember, the comparison operators, the way they work is it evaluates the first thing. If the first thing is truthy, if it's true or truthy, then we evaluate the second thing. That's how that works. As soon as so let's say we evaluated this and it was falsy or false. The moment that this is false, the moment that this evaluates to false, we don't even run what's on the other side of the ampersand. We don't run it because and only gives us back true if both sides are true. As soon as one side is not true, it doesn't even look at the other side because there's no point of looking at the other side because we know that we're gonna evaluate to false. That's what this does basically, and that's why we can use that shortcut. And we can do that same thing here as well. So again, we're checking this to evaluate it. If this is true, then we're going to evaluate the second side of it to see if it's truthy as well. And by us evaluating this, it runs the function. That's what that happens. I mean, that's what happens. And if this is false, if this is actually false, then we're not even going to evaluate the other end of it because the ampersand means that both sides has to be true in order to return back true. And because we saw false first, we're not even going to look at the other one because we know that this whole thing is going to be false. That's how JavaScript works on the back end. And that's why we can use this like this. So let's test this to see if this works. Let's go back to the app. Let's see what time it is, 11:47. Let's refresh. Show projects. Tic-tac-toe. Okay. Here, make the computer move. Okay. So this literally means, okay, we didn't find a winning combination. That's why we logged that. If I click this, that means we still didn't, it's the computer turn. Okay. The reason that's putting out O is because after we run this, we also toggled this here. We turned this to the opposite of what it was. And because I just clicked a box again, remember when we click one of those boxes, we first see if the square is taken. If the square is not taken, then we place the letter. And the letter that we place depends on whose turn it is. And that's why O printed out. We had toggled that. Okay. So if I press this, it's going to be X. If I press another one, it's going to be O. Okay. And if I press another one here, it's going to be X. But this time we're going to win. Let me clear this out. We're going to win, and we're going to go back to the home screen, just like we're supposed to. And if I press start, obviously, the board is clear again. So far it's set up so that two people can play. Almost set up. We didn't set up the scoring yet. Now what we have to do is we have to give the computer some logic so that the computer can play you instead of like actually playing an actual human being. We don't want to play ourselves. We want to play the computer. And that means the computer had won. So let's go back in here and let's go here, make computer move. This is where the computer makes a decision on, what to press. So make computer move. The first thing we want to do is we want to check to see if when it's the computer turn, the first thing it wants to do is check to see if we can win. Okay. What that means is if it's the computer turn, like as it is now, we want to check to see if we can win. The way we know that we can win is if we have two of these lined up and one that's empty. Okay. That means that we can win. And that's any combination of the three. And if we can win, check to see if we can win. So if true, we want to place O in the winning box. Okay. Actually, let's do this. If computer can win, place O in box. Okay. Else, choose. Else, what we want to do is else if we want to, so if the computer can't win, the next thing we want to do is we want to check if the actual like human can win, because if the human can win, we want to block the human's X. Now how that looks, let me refresh this. Okay, this here, this here. Actually, I'm gonna just put it here really quick. So right now it's the computer turn. Okay, the computer is going to check to see if the computer can actually. Let me refresh. This is not good. That's not a good example. Let's see, X. Oh, X. Okay. All right. So this is a good example. So right now it's the computer turn. The first thing it's going to check is to see if it can win itself. Obviously, we have no winning combinations. There's no there's no two O's in a row here. So we can't win. So that's going to go right past this condition that we can't win. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to check if the actual human can win. So we want to check those combinations again to see if the human is about to win. And if the human is about to win, we want to place an O inside of the box that the human was about to win inside of. Okay, that's how that's going to work. So else if human is about to win, place O inside of their winning box. Okay, and let's say that we're not about to win, and the computer is not, and the human is not about to win. We can just choose a random box to place in O. This is basically all of the logic that the computer is going to follow. Okay, so we want to choose a random box and pass the turn to the human. So we pick a random box, and now it's the human turn, and we're going to run this logic all over again. Let me see, this is 11:53. Let's see if we can finish this out. So if computer can win, place an O inside a box. Okay, let's do that. Let's say can computer win? Okay. I'm gonna turn this to a function. We're gonna turn this to a function. We're gonna say computer and can win, and we'll have a function that says can computer win, and it's going to give us back a Boolean. Okay. The way that we check to see if the computer can win is we have to first get all combinations of the O's. We have to figure out which box. I mean, we have to figure out which boxes have O's inside of them. Okay. After we figure out which boxes have O's inside of them, we want to look back at this combinations array, and we want to check to see if two of the O's are in any of these. And if two of the O's, let's say that we filled in box 8 and we filled in box 9, if two of these are inside of the array of O's, then we know that the last ID is the box to score inside of. That's how that logic goes. So we can reuse a function. Where is that function to put the letter, to get the letters? Let's see, letter, get all boxes with letter. Okay. So we want to say all O boxes. Okay. Get all boxes with letter. We want to check for the letter O. Okay. We'll check for that, and then we're going to loop over this. Okay. I'm going to do something very similar to before. I'm going to loop over this dot for each and say square. Actually, let's just do the destructuring. right up front, A, B, and C, okay? And then we'll say if all boxes with O. Now there's a few different conditions, okay? I'm gonna put this down here like this so that we can see all of this on one line. I mean, we can see this, we can clearly see what's going on. So I'm separating this a little bit. If this includes both A and if it includes B, okay? We'll say, let's actually put those into variables. Has A, B. This means that it has A and B inside of it. Has A, let's put it in, let's actually make this and B. Okay? Has A and B. And then we'll check to see if it has B and C. And we'll check to see if it has A and C. Okay. This is A and B. This is B and C. This is A and C. These are the three different combinations. So what that means is if we're here, if it has 7 and 8, or if it has 7 and 9, or if it has 8 and 9, we know that we have 2 out of 3 things there. So if has this or has this one, or if it has this combination, hold on, okay, these are there. Or if it has this, we know that we're about to win. Let's actually put this on the same line. This is better this way. So if it has A or B, or if it has B or C, or if it has A or C, we know that we're about to score. Okay. So if it has one of these, we want to identify which one it has. Okay. And I'm going to hold on. If it has any of those, let's just do a console log actually. Let's do a console log here. Is about to score computer. It's 11:58. We're cutting it close. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm actually gonna test this out and I'm gonna stop here. And then I'll drop this code in a Slack, and then you could like finish out the logic. You can go through and finish out the logic yourself, and kind of go through what we have first, and then try to figure out if you can do it yourself. But let me just quickly refresh this because we are running out of time. If I do, I'm just gonna. Okay, if I do. Okay, when I click this, it says is about to score on computer because we have that empty box right there. And just for completion, I'm just gonna fill this in for the computer and then give it to. I'm gonna fill this in for the computer just so that we see the computer actually do something. We'll do let's see, we got to get the letter first. So if A and B, and this is probably the long way to do this. So if A and B, we'll say winning box. Okay. Just gonna say false for now. We'll initialize it as false. If A and B, then the winning box is C. So we'll say winning box is C. Else, if B and C, if we have both B and C, then the winning box is A. Else, this last condition, we don't even have to put the else if, because we know that at least one of these are correct. This means that the winning, if this condition, if A and C, then the winning box is B. Okay, so now we got the winning box. And because we have the winning box, so if winning box, we will fill in that box. So we would go here and select the square. So if winning box, we want to select the square with the winning box, okay? Remember, when we go through here, we pass an ID, we get the square. Is it taken? Yes or no. If it's not taken, then we place the letter in the box. We place the letter in the box. We check to see whose turn it is to figure out which letter. Okay, we check to see if the game has ended. If the game has ended, then yeah, we go through all that logic where we go back to the home screen and see if game has ended. We let me see. We're checking to see if the game has ended. And we'll go to the next player's turn. If the game has ended, we'll restart the game, which goes back to the home screen. Go back to home screen and clear the board. You can see how all this stuff is connected. But let me just double check to see if this actually works. Do a refresh. Click this. Okay. Actually, I shouldn't do that. Click here. Now I'm gonna hold on. Something went wrong. Let me try that again. That's hold on. Why is the computer? Okay. We're just checking to hold on. Something's wrong here. Computer, can computer win? This is supposed to click the box. Something is wrong. Can computer win? Make computer move. This is can computer win? I'm just gonna return a winning box here. And I'm gonna move this logic actually. I'm gonna move this. So this is gonna return false if the computer can't win because we initialize it as false. If it's not false, then it's one of those strings, which is a truthy value. So if computer can win, this is going to be false. If they can't win, it's going to be an ID if they can win. If they can win, we're going to pass this. We're going to pass this here. Can computer win? This is going to be the winning box basically. I'm gonna put a debugger here just to see what's going on because I think there's a bug here. Let's do a refresh. See projects. So okay, computer wins false, right? Click there. Okay, can computer win? This is false, all right. All right, let me just refresh. I started off all wrong. Just take that off for now. Okay, play, put it here. Now I'm gonna take this back. Okay, I'm gonna click this. It says, can computer win? That's true. So the number four is here. Now we have to go and select the box. I'll go here, select square. The computer should select the square. We passed in 4, I'm gonna get the square. Okay, so square taken, that is false. So we go here to place the letter. We wanna place the ID. So I'm gonna go in here. We're getting an element and we place the letter there. Okay, cool, that worked. And then we end the game. I'm gonna hit play and we end the game. Okay, so that works. All right, cool. So yeah, all this stuff actually works. It was just going too fast for me to see exactly what happened. And because it was going too fast, I'm gonna actually put a set time out here. Before we end the game, we want to see that we actually won. That we're not like, let's give this like 4 seconds. If 4 seconds before we actually end the game, let's just do a refresh just to see this in action. Hold up. Oh wait, we had to wait 4 seconds. That's that time I messed up everything. Okay, so this is a problem here. This is a problem. Game has ended. Game has ended. Go to the next person. First turn. Restart game. Okay. But either way, we saw that it actually works. Okay. Now it's already 12:05, so I'm not going to finish the rest of this. Basically, we were here where we were making a computer move. The computer is checking to see if it already won. If it didn't win, I mean, if it can win, then it's going to select the square. That was this. this scenario here. The only two other scenarios are these ones here. So we have an else if here. We have to put some condition there. Else if the player is about to win, we want to block the player. Else we want to make a random selection. And after we fill in the logic for these two things, the computer is going to be moving on its own, because it's going to be able to either make a decision to actually win, or it's going to make a decision to block the human, or if none of those two are true, then it's going to make a decision to place an O inside of a random box. Okay. So I kind of want to finish this out, but we're already over, so it's fine. I'm gonna quickly go over what is expected before Sunday. And again, Sunday we will be tested. I'm gonna test you, just, and it's not gonna be recorded, to see if like we're ready for React. If we're ready for React, we'll move on to the next 8 weeks. If we're not ready for React, then we won't move forward from there. But it's important that I test you, because React has a lot of JavaScript inside of it, and it's only going to be really hard. It's only going to be harder to get through if the fundamentals aren't there. Okay. So we went over tic-tac-toe. At home, during the week, make sure you go over everything up to tic-tac-toe, obviously. Go over whack-a-mole, go over game settings, go over, actually, hold on. Go over, you can skip whack-a-mole. You don't need whack-a-mole. So we did tic-tac-toe, almost. You can go ahead and finish this on your own. We're gonna skip whack-a-mole. You don't have to do that at home. You don't have to do game settings either. But I will go through it eventually. Like, you just continue it if we do go into the next 8 weeks in React. What I want you to go over is inspirational quote. Make sure that's done before Sunday. Because I'm going to be testing on the inspirational quote stuff, and I'm going to be testing on and I'm gonna give a random test. Like I'm gonna give a random app to build, and it's gonna be based off of everything up until tic-tac-toe. I'll say, okay, build this app, and if you can build the app within 30 minutes, I'll give you 30 minutes to create it, then we'll move on to React. If not, then we'll stop where we are, and then we'll just end the bootcamp, and then we'll do another round of it later on, like probably like a month or two after. But yeah, that's the goal. So pretty much get done as much as possible. And to be honest, everything should be done by now. We're already 8 weeks in. One section per week should have cleared everything up. And that's just how the class works. Most of the learning is done outside of the class and during the TA sessions. But either way, I'll see you on Sunday, where I'll test you for concepts that are before tic-tac-toe. But be sure to go through to finish out everything, because I might ask a question from everything else. You don't have to go through battle game. You can do everything else except for battle game. You don't have to do crest or either, or Pokedex. Yeah, I guess everything from week 7 and back is fair game for me to test on. So I'll run some test questions, and then I'll give you an app to create within 30 minutes. Okay. I know that was a little confusing, but yeah. Any questions?
Actually, no question. I think the starter template, there's no way to download it it's not on the platform, right?
The template for the
starter template.
Yeah, the starter template.
We looked for it the other class. We couldn't find it until Tyrant has sent one for us on the Slack.
Mm-hmm. The starter template for the code, like the code.
Yeah, like the one you are using.
Yeah. So if you click on the first video of any project, let's say whack-a-mole. Actually, let's just do tic-tac-toe. If I click on this first one, we have the code here, the downloads. Here's the starter code here. Wow. And these are just extra like things in the that you will need, extra functions that you will need. But this is the starter code. And so you click on that to download it. If I go back to tic-tac-toe 3, on any project, on the first one, on the last video, we have the complete code. So tic-tac-toe complete here. You click that to download it. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
thank you.
And that's on all of these things, every project on here. See, even this one, I think joke API, yeah, starter code is here. And the finished code, yeah, joke API complete code. This one we don't actually have a video for. This is the complete code. This is one that's done on your own. But the Pokedex, we can see inside of application introduction. I think we should have the starter code here. No, it's not. Let's check the first video. Pokedex API. Yeah, starter code is here. And if we go to the last video, they have the complete code there. So that it's the same pattern throughout the whole thing. I should have been more specific with those things. But yeah, any other questions?
No.
Okay, cool. All right. So all right, I'll see you on Sunday.
And don't forget, you say you're going to forward the code on the Slack.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Let me put that now, actually, before I forget. Starter. Let's see, put this here. Let's compress it. TT starter. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna drop that in the Slack right now before I forget. Drop it here. Complete code. Cool. It's loading. Okay, just now dropped in there. Okay, cool.
I got it.
All right. So on Tuesday, just continue, you can either continue with the starter code and go through with the TAs and go through it like that, or y'all can just do a cold words problem. It's whatever is easier for y'all. And yeah, like I said, on Sunday, we'll just do like the test and stuff like that to make the evaluation to see if we're ready for React. Okay. All right, cool. If there's no questions, I'll see you on Sunday. Okay.
All right.
All right. See you.
Thanks.
Yeah.